Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, since the first event, the Dashing for Your Dreams event, has ended, I thought it'd be a great time to revisit the guide that kind of has all the priorities going into the future. And so with this guide here, now that we are past the special week getting that card and MLBing it, since that's the event card, the next big thing coming up that pretty much every YouTuber, myself included, has talked about planning for and saving all your polls is going to be the Kitasan Black card. And so this is coming out on July 16th, and this is going to be kind of the main focus of this video, and that is because this is the banner that you are going to want to throw everything you have at. And there's multiple reasons. I think there's been a lot of confusion on why you want to throw everything you have at this banner, and there is also the potential that you may want to re-roll your account at this banner if you actually have bad enough luck. Even if you've been playing since the beginning of the game and you re-rolled for Fine Motion and Super Creek, there is the potential. Now, this is kind of being a little bit sweaty, but I can kind of explain it here. But there's the potential, if you, especially if you haven't spent any money, that you may want to potentially re-roll on this banner because you can just come out so much farther ahead re-rolling here than walking away with what you may have in the past. But first, I want to kind of explain why this banner is so important, and it's not just the Kitasan Black card that is important. While that is a key part of it, it is not the only reason. The first thing you're going to kind of see here on this guide on all the big stuff coming up in the future is the next big stuff does not come up or will not come out for another 4 months. Now, I know we're accelerated, so we'll say another 2 or 3 months until we get to the next big card, which is Nice Nature, and then potentially the big Uma. Now, Umas, to me, I'm not going to play meta on those to a certain extent. If I like Uma, I'm going to pulver them. But when it comes to the next big support card, that's not for another 3 to 4-ish months. So this is the first card or first banner and one for a while where you can really dump your pulls into it. And the big reason that you want to dump your pulls into a support card banner as early as possible, which with Kitasan Black is a good one to do it, is to flesh out your account. You're in a situation like I am, where I did my rerolls. I got 2 copies of Fine Motion, which was kind of nice on my rerolls. And then through just the luck of the free SSR support card they gave us, and then the random one I won on my free pull, that's pretty much all I have for SSRs on my account at this point. And so, and then my SRs, since all the pulls I've done have only been the reroll ones and then a couple of free ones, I have very few SRs as well. And so I don't have a lot of dupes of the SRs. That is what the Kitasan Black banner is going to do for you. It is going to help you get a lot of dupes on your SRs. So one of the big things you'll learn in this game is dupes are very important on the support cards, to the point that most of the SR cards are better at max dupes than the SRs at no dupes. So you are going to, when you pull in this Kitasan Black banner, you're trying to get a lot of dupes of SRs as well, which if you're able to get a spark's worth of pulls, which everybody should, 200 pulls is within range. Even if you start at the release of this banner, get 200 pulls, you should be able to get it like 30 plus SRs pulling on it, because you're guaranteed one every single 10 pull, and it's got like an 18% pull rate, so you should be getting a bunch of extras here and there as well. So you should get like 30 plus SR cards, which means you're going to get a lot of dupes of them, and you're going to be able to invest into them. And so, like for me, example, it's still a struggle to get really high stats on my Umas as I run them through career, because I'm just using my 0 dupe SSRs, because all my SRs are basically 0 dupes as well. That is going to make it significantly easier going into the future. The other big thing is Kitasan Black card is very good and may not be immediately usable if you're only able to get like 1 or 2 copies. But we will be getting a currency in the future to help add on to those dupes, as well as there will be, if you're a spender, like selectors that you can pay for in the future, like on the half anniversary and that, where you can select it to get more copies of it. And so getting it now and getting a couple copies of it now will make it much easier and quicker to max dupe it in the future with a lot of the other ways that you can do that. And the reason it's so good is, one, it's going to be the #1 card that you can borrow that a lot of people are going to have. But if you have it and are already using it yourself, it means you open up your options to borrow other cards as well. Super Creek being a big one that pretty much always going to borrow. Fine Motion's a great one to borrow. You'll have down the line like Nice Nature will be a great one to borrow. So a lot of cards that you can borrow, because you're always going to need speed cards in your decks. Speed's the most important stat, And as people have told me in stream, and as I've kind of learned, speed is always important. Eventually, stamina falls off the meta in the future, and then you kind of have to shift around the other stats on what's meta or what's needed in different situations, but speed is always needed. So Kitasan Black is like a card that you can pretty much throw in your deck every single time, and so if you have it, that opens up your borrow slot. If you don't have it, you're pretty much going to want to borrow that card from somebody that does have it. And so that's a big thing with that. You're going to have a lot of SRs to fill out your other slots you need for your stats, and then that opens up being able to borrow from Whale. Now, there's one thing that I not like the idea of, but it is definitely, especially if you're starting now, a very good strategy to go with at this point, especially as we get closer to it, which is re-rolling for Kitasan Black, even if you've been playing since the launch of this game. And that is, if you get to this banner and you say only pull, you get 200 pulls and you pull all the way up to a spark. Say you get like no SSRs. You go all the way to 200 pulls, get 0 SSRs, and then spark it, get 1 copy. That might be a potential situation to re-roll because of how valuable this card is. You can potentially re-roll for it to get multiple copies of it right off the bat in your first few pulls, and then save up to get another spark and potentially walk away with 3 to 4 copies of this card right off the bat as a free-to-play, and that is huge. And that is much better than, say, if you started and you re-rolled and got Fine Motion and Super Creek right off the bat, because, like I said, you can always borrow those cards from somebody that whaled and max duped them. While a lot of people are going to have max dupe Kitasan Black, there are those with the max copies of Super Creek and Fine Motion, or anything else you may need to borrow in the future. And let's kind of look at the math on this. So it's a 0.5% chance to pull it if you do re-roll on it. So I kind of have that here. We had like 40 pulls at our re-rolling, so I'm going to guess it's going to still be about 40 pulls if you re-roll on the Kitasan Black card. And as you can see here, you have the potential, after about, I'd say 100 to 50 to 100 runs, you should on average get 2 on a reroll. If you're really dedicated and you want to go to the same statistics we had with a Fine Motion and the Fine Motion and Super Creek card, like I did, where it took me 6 hours to finally pull it off, you can say you have about a 1 in 1,000 chance to get it. And that's going to take a lot of reruns. Now, I've heard that there's people who have gotten the emulators to work. If you're getting the emulators to work, you could potentially do synchronized rerolls and actually do this very quickly. You can get 3 copies of it in 40 pulls within, I would say, a reasonable amount of time, whatever you would consider reasonable. And that is going to set you way ahead versus working with all of the stuff you've accumulated up to this point, because of how valuable this card is. Now, I know a lot of people, myself included, I definitely wouldn't want to re-roll because I like my account. I like where I'm at. I have the pulls for it. I'm a spender, though, so I will be spending to attempt to MLB this. I'll probably spend up to 2 sparks worth, which mathematically I think has like a 58% chance of max duping it. We'll see how that goes. But if you're a free-to-play, this is going to set you up for the future. And that is just because you're going to always use this card. If you can get as many copies of this, you're always going to have this in your deck. You're never going to have to borrow it, like I said before. And so it completely opens you up to borrow anything else that you really don't have, or you're missing, or you have a gap in your account. You're going to have your SRs that you get a ton of when you roll on it. You're going to be able to use those, and then you just pull a max. You just find a whale or somebody that has max dupe of another card that you really need for your build and borrow that card. And then you are good to go. And then at that point, you're pretty much safe to save all the way for Nice Nature, which is a ways off from now, which means you should be able to save up another spark's worth to get that. And then we will be getting, we will start getting the anniversary, so we'll get a ton of crystals on the half anniversary. We will get the system for creating dupes through a rainbow crystal, or rainbow, I forget what it's called, but it's like a rainbow crystal upgrade item that basically allows you to add a dupe to any support card you want. We'll get that. And if you don't have Kitasan Black maxed at that point, that's where you can do it. If you're a spender like myself, you can spend for a selector to select it as well to get dupes. Or if you don't want to dupe that one, maybe dupe another card if you've already maxed dupe it. So it opens up a lot of options by maxing out this card. And that's why I know some people have mentioned it is going to get rerun at better rates in the future, but it's quite a bit of ways off from that point. And this card is just going to put you way ahead, starting with it right now. and you have plenty of time to save for future cards, as I can see. Now, there is the Uma situation, because, as you'll see, the guide really only mentions you have Summer Marenzensky being kind of a maybe pull based on her ultimate. You have the same thing with Christmas Oguri Cap. I mean, there's not many times that this talks about pulling for Umas. And so getting this out of the way now, too, gives you that ability to kind of... You don't have to completely follow. To me, this game you don't have to be completely meta on, I think. But this makes it where you are in good shape and you can kind of deviate in the future. Because I know, like many other people, I want to pull for some Umas, and this guy doesn't have you pulling them that many times. And I know a lot of people aren't going to want to wait stinking 4 months or 3 months to do any more pulls again. So this kind of gives you that ability, to me, to kind of deviate on the future here. And just pull for stuff that you like or ways you want to build, because you're completely fine at that point. The whales will max out these cards. You can borrow them and use them with your Kitasan Black, and you'll be good to go for a long time. And so that's just kind of my thoughts on it. I know a lot of other YouTubers are saying that as well. I'm not 100% all in on the whole re-rolling for it thing, but man, if you saved up 200 pulls and have like terrible luck and not get any copies of it and only get the spark, that is where I would maybe think about re-rolling on it. But that's pretty much it for now. Hopefully that's a little bit of help. I know there's a lot of other YouTubers talking about this as well. Go ahead and watch theirs as well, especially the ones that have played on the Japanese version that can explain why it's been so good for them the entire time they've played on it. Because I haven't played on the Japanese version. I'm just going based on what I can read and kind of see in the stats, as well as what I've heard when I'm streaming and that from other people. But I know a lot of the other YouTubers are talking about it, especially the ones that have played on the other versions, and they can give you the first-hand experience of why it's so good. So go ahead and watch a lot of them as well. Don't just take my word for it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. If you like my content, if you can like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.